This is Joe Betar.
This is Ramon Robles.
And we talk to fascinating people about their love of hunting, shooting sports, and the outdoors. This is Hunting Matters. I'm excited this week.
Yep, I can see that.
Entrepreneur. I just learned that word. No, I'm just kidding.
That's 5 syllables, Betar. That's a lot for you.
I know, man. I learned it's the King's English, isn't it?
Well, I checked his website before we started Nick's, and I'm fascinated. And I have a feeling I'm going to fanboy out simply because of the product he's offering.
Right.
I've never heard of this before. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean it's a unique concept, and I'm excited about learning more. I'm excited that our listeners are going to learn a little bit more about LandTrust and Nic De Castro, who's the guy that started this. Man, this thing is a recreation access network. It opens up outdoor opportunities not only for hunters, which we're kind of partial to, but also anybody who wants to look at outdoor recreation, whether it's an agricultural experience, camping experience, bird watching, sightseeing, any of those things. And I think, Ramon, we've talked about it on Hunting Matters before, but one of the primary obstacles or barriers to getting people outdoors is access. And I think Nic may have found a gem here as far as opening the door to outdoor access for people. And
he has my money.
Yeah. So let's talk to Nic and find out more about LandTrust. Here he is now, our guest today, Nic De Castro of LandTrust. Nic, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Just enjoying some nice weather up here, some springtime weather in Bozeman, Montana.
Oh, my God. Bozeman, Montana. You poor sap.
This year, maybe last winter, you would have actually meant that because we had a very long, cold winter. This year has been very mild, so it's been pretty nice.
Being in Houston, we have this romantic affair with snow. We see it, and we see it on postcards. We see it in the Hallmark movies, and we think, man, that's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
But there's probably a reality of snow that most Houstonians wouldn't understand, right?
There is. I wasn't born up here. I was born on the beach in Southern California, so I moved up here in 2016. But I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy cold weather. I enjoy the snow. My wife, on the other hand, does not. So, but it definitely, when it's below zero for a month, 2 months, or whatever, and you got a bunch of snow, it's different than just the Hallmark movie.
Yeah. I mean, because there's shoveling, there's all kinds of things that come with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
but that's the fun part, because you get a snowblower, and the snowblower, I don't know about you guys, I like doing the yard work and I like doing the lawn and stuff, so snowblowers are actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guilty as charged, man. I love on the weekends getting up. Listen, I'm an old fogey.
Yeah.
I get up with my to-do list on my phone. I'm like, oh, I got to trim these hedges. Oh, I got to replace that trim on the base around the house. And my wife's like, well, I'll see you this afternoon, because I can't help myself. Yeah. I like to stay busy. I like to stay busy. I like to work in the yard. I like to, especially if you're sitting in front of a computer all day long at the office. I got to get outdoors, man. I started to get all jittery. Speaking of which, Ramon, I rode by your house the other day. And,
I know it.
We need to talk about the landscaping issues there.
My HOAs sent me plenty of letters.
So, Nic, what do you do for fun up there?
Oh, man. It's kind of ironic. A lot of people think, I'm sure we'll talk about the company that I run called LandTrust, but a lot of people think all I do is get to go hunt and fish, and could be further from the truth at this point. I got 3 young daughters under the age of 5, and obviously I'm married, and I run a company, so I don't get to do a ton of outdoor activities, or at least it's not even close to what I would like to. But I do like to fly fish. I love to hunt. We have a bunch of great breweries up here, so a lot of people don't know that. But if you guys like drinking beer, which I do, ton of great breweries in Montana. We just don't really ship our beer out of state for whatever reason. But yeah, we got some fun outside out here.
Now, Nic says he's got 3 kids under 5, and then says, I don't have time to play because I'm working. Doesn't sound like you're working, Nic.
It's chasing children around and hoping that one of them isn't sick, which 2 of them are right now.
That happens. Yeah, they just pass it back and forth to each other. I get it.
Children are like walking petri dishes.
Yeah.
We had 3 boys, and there's always somebody sick. Yeah,
I'm just hoping to get out of that stage at some point. Usually in the spring and summer it gets a little better, but man, winter is rough.
Right. What is it about that? Because I work in this field and have for several years, and people say, "Oh man, your job is you must just get to hunt and fish." I guess it's guilt by association, right? That they think we hunt and fish, and that's all we do.
Yeah, yeah. It's my job and our company's job is to get thousands and tens of thousands of other people out hunting, fishing, enjoying the outdoors. I do get to do it occasionally, but at this stage of life, it's just this is our job. It's not. Unless you're a TV personality or something where you get paid to go do that stuff, it's kind of behind the scenes of it.
Yeah, but the dirty secret behind that aspect of hunting and outdoors and lifestyle is, I wasn't a paid TV personality, but I was involved with a television show for several years, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. People think it's all. I guess it's like acting, and to some degree, that people think it's, oh man, that's awesome. You get to do all these great things, but what they don't see is all the cutaways you have to do after you've done your show, and the editing and the voiceover work and all that stuff. I mean, it's fun, but I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad I'm out of that now, because I enjoy my hunts much more than having to recreate things that that actually happened all the time. And I mean, there's a place for it, of course. Outdoor entertainment and shows that share knowledge and conservation messages and information and education are great. But I don't miss it. Have you ever been involved with a TV show, Nic?
It's funny. I was just down in Mississippi 2 weeks ago, hunting turkeys with some of the Mossy Oak guys and the Country Outdoors folks, Zach and Mary, and they have a show. I think it's on. I don't want to mess up. It's OSG, I think. And so, they're pretty light touch. They have one cameraman that comes around, but it definitely does change the dynamic as far as, going out and chasing turkeys with a handful of people is probably a little bit more difficult than just getting out by yourself.
Yeah.
So I've been around it very briefly.
Yeah. 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 I used to do Mossy Oak, the Mossy Oak guys. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do like 2 or 3 weeks in Texas. They would have a turkey camp, and they'd bring in their I guess their licensees and their, business partners and things. And they would fly groups of, I don't know, 10, 15 people out every 2 to 3 days for this went on for like a month during the entire turkey season. And it was phenomenal. The place they had over there in West Central Texas was phenomenal. But I tell you what, those Mossy Oak boys, they know how to call in birds.
Yes, they do. It's I killed my first. I'm a total newbie. I killed my first bird this last year. I grew up upland bird hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I started big game hunting maybe in 2015, I want to say, and then last year was the first year I killed a bird, and I was in Missouri, and I get it. I get the appeal. It's really fun. I could see how the addiction could grab a hold of you.
Yeah, I didn't start turkey hunting until later in life. I mean, I grew up in Louisiana. There wasn't a lot of turkeys, and turkey hunting in Louisiana wasn't a big thing. I'm sure there's more now, but did it surprise you? Because the first time I did it, I had somebody else call for me, and then I started to learn how to call, and it got even more exciting. So did the excitement level or the attraction surprise you at all?
Well, definitely. It's kind of like it's kind of like elk hunting. It's you can listen to them calling, gobbling. You can kind of locate them like that. You can, try to make your moves on them. I actually killed mine a little bit more spot and stock, so it wasn't calling them in. And then the next day, one of my guys who was down there with me on that hunt, he was hunting with a bow, and he called one in to like 4 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he wasn't able to draw back. So I got to experience kind of both sides of it, and I definitely see the attraction.
Yeah, be careful. It is highly addictive. I'm going to try to get Ramon out and do it maybe next year.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain because I never had a desire to hunt turkeys. And then this guy who actually made game calls, Ramon, our buddy Gary Robertson from Burner Brothers Game Calls up in Menard, Texas. He said, "Let's go turkey hunting." I went and visited him to do something else, and he went out and called a bird in, and I shot it, and I'm like, "Wow, this is cool." And then he started to teach me kind of how to call. I'm not a great caller. I can get them within range, if they're not too smart.
The dumb ones, yeah.
Yeah, but they are. I always call them. I say they are the dumbest, smartest birds around. But
totally.
I was shocked. I guess they're like deer, Nic. They're from the aspect of when they get in the rut, they get a little stupid, especially the younger birds. But I don't mean to beat the horse, beat it to death. But I was surprised how my attraction to it increased over the years, and it continues now. Every year I'm like, and the other thing that I never thought about before I moved to Texas, knew nothing about hunting exotics year round. Mm-hmm. It was like, wow, here's something else I can do in the spring. So deer season's over,
springtime.
And now I got a springtime thing I can do, which is and Ramon, the expansiveness of it is once you get into it is, we're going to go hunt Rios down in Texas, or we're going to go hunt Easterns, or there's Osceola, or there's all these other birds, and then it becomes a quest to try to get one of each.
Get everything,
yeah. So that's
it's really accessible too. I mean, up here in Montana, I feel like everyone's brain is a bull elk, and don't get me wrong, elk hunting is a lot of fun.
Yep.
I say that as a newbie to that, only a few years in myself, but I don't know. Turkey hunting is a really accessible thing too, and it's even if you get around them, if you hear a gobble in the woods in the morning, I mean it does something to you. So it's really fairly easy. I'm not saying it's easy to turkey hunt. I'm just saying it's easy to go do and at least get a taste of it.
Right.
So I don't know. I definitely see myself going down the rabbit hole with it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can get you down to Texas next year and you shoot a big Rio.
Heck yeah. Yeah, yes is the answer.
Okay, well there you go.
Easy.
Season opens. Let's see. North Zone opens the end of March. The end of March, and the South Zone opens the beginning of March. So kind of put that tentatively on your calendar. Let's talk a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis besides chasing the three little girls and all this other stuff that all this hunting and fishing you get to do in your spare time. Would it be fair to say that we could put you in the entrepreneur category?
That would be fair to say, yeah. So I'm the founder and CEO of a company called LandTrust, and really kind of a lot of people call us like Airbnb, but for booking outdoor experiences on private land all over the country. So, I am based up here now in Bozeman, Montana. I started the company up here. But it was really out of need. I think most entrepreneurs end up creating businesses out of the desire for a product that they can't find. So that was me. I grew up hunting and fishing, loving it, and spearfishing and inshore fishing at the coast and fly fishing and upland bird hunting, all that fun stuff. But when I moved up here after a career in kind of technology sales, I moved up here to Montana at the end of 2016. Montana has a ton of public land, which is awesome. It's a great resource.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for all the hunters out there and fishermen and people love the outdoors, you always end up finding yourself wanting to get on some private because, it's nice to be able to have a piece of ground to yourself and have it be unpressured. And I don't know, it's a different experience. And there's a bunch of beautiful private land in and around the Bozeman area and around, obviously, Montana. And I was just trying to connect the dots there. So, of course, door knocking has existed forever and it will continue to exist. But, I'm only 36 years old, so I haven't been door knocking for a long time. But I know that has changed in the last probably couple decades as well, where, the success rate of a person going and knocking on a stranger's door and getting permission has definitely gone down. And, it's an uncomfortable situation, generally speaking. Like, I'm not a shy person. I was a sales guy before I started this company. But, even I didn't love going and knocking on a stranger's door asking them for something. And so, to me, when I kind of encountered that problem, it was like, all right, well, there could be better ways to do that now. It's 17, 18. I ended up starting the company in 19. We know marketplaces like Airbnb and VRBO and Uber and all these other kind of modern marketplaces where supply and demand connect and transact. So that's really what led to me starting this company in 2019.
And just to kind of go back in time a little bit, what did you do before this? I definitely want to dig into LandTrust, but what led you to this? Were you in the outdoor world before, or?
No, not other than the fact that I've loved hunting and fishing since I was, 3. So I grew up, I was born down in Southern California. So I grew up on the beach, like I said, spearfishing, fishing it, in the ocean. We had a boat growing up, and I hunted a lot of quail over Brittany Spaniels in the deserts. And then I went away to school on the East Coast, and then I was in marketing and advertising technology sales for about a decade before I started LandTrust. So I sold a lot of social media advertising and, worked a lot in the YouTube ecosystem pretty early on. And so I worked with a lot of big brands and helped them, reach audiences across the internet, basically.
Well, what was your aha moment where you said, you hear these stories of Herb Keller, who started Southwest Airlines, drew his game plan out on a napkin in a restaurant. What was your aha moment for LandTrust?
One moment? I don't know if I can pin one moment. I had been an early host on Airbnb's platform when I lived in New York City, and that was like 2010 or 11. And, that was really my introduction to kind of the sharing economy, which this is all kind of under the category of that. You own an asset, or, you have access to an asset, and you can let other people use it when you're not and make money. Right. So that was a kind of a foundational thing for me. And then, getting up here and seeing this clear marketplace issue, there's a bunch of supply, a bunch of landowners who aren't using that resource for, hunting, fishing, outdoor recreation every day. And there's obviously a ton of demand, hunters, fishermen, people love the outdoors who would love to have access to it, and just no clear way to do it. I don't know. It was probably somewhere around there. I don't have a distinct moment in time where that, I could point to like a drew on a napkin.
I am looking at the website, LandTrust, and before this interview, I didn't have too much information on the website and what you did. But I'm going to go silent now for the next 30 minutes because I am looking at this thinking, okay, Montana in July, that's probably not a bad idea. And so I'm about to book me an RV experience.
You should.
Yeah.
We've got a beautiful property right here in Bozeman where you can have a stretch of, he's got about a mile long stretch of the Gallatin and a place to pull your RV and 1,200 acres. We have a bunch of amazing properties that you can go book experiences on.
I'm looking at it now. I mean, I can't imagine my 8 and 6-year-old enjoying themselves out in the wild in Montana, but I'm going to give it a try.
I don't know. I bet they could.
What do you mean it's 70 degrees in July? Yeah, it happens in the world, kids. Come
you're
on.
being sarcastic.
This is phenomenal.
We can get hot. We can get hot up here. We can get in the 90s.
Yeah,
I've been up there when it's
not
hot.
Like you guys.
Yeah, no.
Well, you don't have the humidity we have, but I've been up there when it's hot. It can get kind of warm.
Yeah, it can. I get that, but
yeah,
it's a different kind of hot
compared to what we're today, where we got pummeled by storms.
Yeah.
Nic, please don't take this as an insult. You're kind of like an outdoor enthusiast real estate agent, right? Maybe a little bit.
Well,
not that you're securing and selling property. What is the wrong term? Maybe a conduit of outdoor adventures. I don't know.
Yeah, marketplace, right? So when you hear people say Airbnb for VRBO for, they're just saying we're a marketplace for this. So yeah, we are a marketplace for outdoor experiences. That's exactly what we are.
How do you? Okay, walk us through the process. So you're riding along the highway, and you and Ramon are out there looking at the beautiful countryside. Ramon goes, "Wow, look at that! That's a cool property. I bet that's a big farm that's being underutilized." How do you approach the property owner? I mean, how does this conversation start? I'm guessing early on you got a few kind of sideway glances.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I remember if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me that no farmer or rancher would ever do this, I'd have more money than I have right now. So yeah, look, I mean, when you're creating a new marketplace like this, it's difficult. Marketplaces are tough because you have to build two businesses in parallel. So you have to build a supply base and a demand base. And it's the chicken and the egg. The supply doesn't want to be there unless you have demand, and vice versa. So, you kind of have to beg, borrow, and steal to get your first landowners on a site like this. This was back in 2019. I mean, we were Craigslist, Facebook, wherever these types of transactions were trying to happen, we were there. We were door knocking. You really had to pull out all the stops to get your first landowners. And then once you get them, you got to try and get, sportsmen to connect with them pretty quickly. Because, if you don't do that in a quick enough manner, landowners lose interest or whatever, right? So it's it's a tough balancing act to get marketplaces rolling. And they don't ever get easy, but certainly the beginning is the chicken and the egg problem. It's difficult. So, over the years now, again, we have about 1.5 million acres in 40 plus states, and we're growing every day. There's very different mechanisms that we reach out to landowners, and they find us today versus, day one or day zero.
Right. And I know this podcast is called Hunting Matters, but Ramon brings up a good point. LandTrust is available for anybody who wants to enjoy the outdoors. There's opportunities for experiences in all realms, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the fun parts about it. We work with, the majority of our landowners are owner-operator farmers and ranchers. So these are people who make their living off of production agriculture, and they're always multi-generation. But they have this amazing asset that they steward and their families have stewarded for many years. And yeah, there's a lot of awesome opportunities. Of course, hunting, fishing, camping. But we have people booking shed hunting. We have people booking foraging. Up here, morel mushrooms. Like we're getting into that, getting close to that season. Birding is a big deal. Like down in Texas, you guys probably know this, but
yep.
I mean, just so your listeners know, birding as an industry is twice as big as hunting in the U.S. It's a huge industry. And they're just as passionate about, going and looking at birds as we are hunting different species of animals. So, and then, I think there's also this farm and ranch experience category that we're really leaning into and we're learning more about. But, this is basically just getting out and connecting with these farm and ranch families and learning about ag. So I've got little kids. You guys got little kids. When you come up here, Ramon, if you book one of the places around here, I'm sure there'll be experiences you can do where that farmer, that rancher will take you guys around and show you how to run their operation.
Yeah.
I want my children interacting with agriculture because I think it's really important.
Yep.
So there's a lot of just other types of experiences. We had people doing sleigh rides this winter. We've had people do regenerative ranch tours. There'll be calving and brandings and just all that kind of stuff.
I'm looking at, I'm down the rabbit hole, man. I'm looking at the Texas hog hunts and the duck hunts and gator. Oh my goodness, gator hunts. I've never done that.
Me neither. I'd really like to.
Yeah, that's.
I think the other thing I think is really important, guys, is LandTrust. If you want to talk just on the hunting side of things,
yep,
it's all about DIY. So this is just about access. It's not about this isn't guided. We're really not about outcomes. Do we have properties where you could kill a huge buck or a huge bull? Sure. But if that's like your expectation and you're not going to be happy unless you get that, we're probably not for you.
Yeah.
We're really about opportunity and experiences. So, as we've talked about, I don't get a lot of days in the field right now. So when I do go, I want to just go and have a place to myself or with, my friends or family, whoever I'm with. I don't want to have to deal with, oh man, there's like 4 people over there and there's 10 trucks over here. That's just stressful. Yeah. I'm going outdoors to disconnect and enjoy myself. If I happen to be successful catching a fish or, killing something, that's awesome. But truly like camp and just being outdoors and disconnected is really what I crave at this point.
That is exactly what I was looking for or am looking for. I mean, you said it. I'm just going to repeat exactly what you said. I want to get out, stretch my legs, unplug. And if I happen to kill a hog while I'm out there, fantastic. Otherwise, my kids get to touch grass and we get to just be away from it all and slow down for a minute.
Yeah, not compete with other people. Public land, again, is a great resource. It really is. However, it's you're going to go out and deal with other people too. And that's not always fun.
Hunting Matters is presented by DEA Ranch. Are you looking for the ultimate South Texas hunting experience? Then look no further than DEA Ranch. DEA Ranch offers some of the best whitetail and exotic game hunts in South Texas year-round. Whether you're looking to fill your freezer or put the next hunting memory on the wall, their professional guides are focused on ensuring each client has a memorable and exciting hunting experience. DEA Ranch offers guided hunts, professional staff, chef-prepared meals, trophy preparation, and more. To learn more, go to DEARanch.com. That's DEARanch.com.
It's funny. No matter how well you know this land, you always seem to get lost in it. That's because it's your escape, your place to reconnect to nature and yourself. At Capital Farm Credit, we're proud to help people like you purchase recreational land where you can hunt, fish, four-wheel, or simply get lost in. To learn how we can help you secure land like this, visit CapitalFarmCredit.com. Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better.
The Houston Safari Club Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that supports the future of hunting and conservation. Wildlife and habitat conservation, youth education and outdoor experiences, scholarships, and anti-poaching efforts are just a few of the programs supported by this organization. Monthly events, an annual convention, award-winning publications, networking opportunities, and valuable resources for hunting knowledge are just a few of the benefits of being a member of Houston Safari Club Foundation. If you're searching for a group of people dedicated to protecting the future of hunting, look no further. Join Houston Safari Club Foundation today at wehuntwegive.org or call 713-623-8844.
Turn a gun you like into one you love. You'll shoot better with the Boyd's Hardwood Gun Stock. Upgrade your firearm to Boyd's and your gun will fit you better and look better. Boyd's uses only top-grade hardwoods because a hardwood stock performs. Boyd's gun stocks are engineered to fit precisely on its specified gun model. Their engineers have continued to perfect manufacturing methods since 1981. That's why you get far more gun stock for your money. Boyd's makes gun stocks for hundreds of gun brands and thousands of models. Shoot better today at boydsgunstocks.com.
Gunworks is a Cody, Wyoming-based manufacturer and provider of premium long-range rifle systems, optics, components, and training. Since 2006, Gunworks has led the charge in innovating and engineering premium quality long-range shooting technology, equipment, and techniques with a singular goal of providing hunters the ability to achieve quick and effective one-shot kills at whatever distances shots are encountered. The Gunworks team is dedicated to service and perfection in purpose-built products ready for 1,000 yards out of the box. Learn more at gunworks.com. That's GUNWERKS.com.
You guys mentioned it on your website, but I want to hear it firsthand, your take. You know, we don't have to deal with the topic or the conversation point of public versus private land here in Texas as much because, like you said,
Right.
most of it's private. But, you guys mentioned on the website, well, did you take that animal on public or private land? It's almost like, you know, well, if it's private, you're not really doing it. You're not really hunting. So I'd like to get your take on that.
Yeah, you know, it is really interesting. So, of course, I joke, although it's not really a joke, that Bozeman, Montana is probably the second least friendly place to start a private lands company around, hunting. Missoula is probably number one. But, in the West, there is this, and I think there's been this big push in social media, especially of like, the public landowner and, public is better than private and all that stuff. Again, public is great. It's a great resource. I don't think there has to be this, either or this versus mentality. But certainly, over the last few years, that has been a perspective when you look at the Western culture of like, yeah, if you hunted on private, it's not even hunting. I mean, people will literally say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like I've hunted private a ton and struck out a ton. They're still the same animals. So I don't know. It's a bizarre thought process to me, and I think what I really focus on more is private lands are so essential to wildlife and habitat. And, I want to vote with my dollars. Like I want to support these multi-generation families preserving these landscapes, growing all of our food, fuel, and fiber. And I want to do it with my dollar and get out and do the thing I love in the process of it. So to me, it's just this really, I don't know, bizarre cultural thing in the West that it's like, oh, public is better than private. And there's a lot of antagonistic feelings towards private landowners.
Really?
Yeah, which again kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, our agricultural producers are doing something that's essential. Like we don't live without food, and we all love hunting and fishing in the outdoors. But they are hobbies, they're passions. But I greatly value our landowners who are out there, growing our food every day.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, we've hit on it a couple of times. But let's talk about the importance of what you're doing and how it positively affects ranchers and ranch owners and landowners and farmers and that sort of thing. Because I think that's a key point to emphasize.
Yeah. So look, again, I started this. I didn't have any connection to agriculture when I started this company. I came from the beach. I don't come from a farm or ranch. So when I started this business, I started because I wanted to be a consumer of it, a user. Right? I love to hunt and fish in the outdoors. Over the last almost 5 years, I really, truly am passionate now about our landowners. And really, I mean, from an ethos perspective, I want LandTrust to facilitate the strengthening of America's farms and ranches through connecting with the outdoor economy. production agriculture is a tough business. There's so many things that farmers and ranchers do not control. They're getting crushed under the weight of inflation for inputs, fuel prices. They don't control commodity pricing. There's just so many things that they're going up against. And, if we can be a tool in the toolbox and start to create this new revenue stream that's very symbiotic with, what they do for their living, and injects, pretty significant revenue onto the farmer ranch. That's really what I want. And even more importantly, reconnect the 99% of us who are not producers with the 1% who grow all our food, fuel, and fiber. Like, that is what's truly important to us. And, we have some landowners now who are generating $50,000 to $80,000 a year, which is significant. I don't know if you guys know, but the median farm income in the U.S. this last year, I think, was like negative $1,400. So if you can put even $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of pure profit into an operation, like, that pays taxes, it could bring a family member back onto the farmer ranch. It can help them sustain.
Well, too, I mean, hopefully, like you said, helps them sustain also, but also is an incentive for that landowner to make improvements on their land to support habitat and wildlife, correct?
Absolutely. And this is what I've been really excited about talking about this with even the Mossy guys, because they have their whole gamekeeper program. And I've just been listening to that podcast, which is a great one. But yes, absolutely. We want to incentivize, we want to show, private landowners, farmers, ranchers, and other private landowners that having high quality habitat and wildlife is profitable, because there's no better way to get people to engage in it than to show, like, not only is it a good thing from an ethics perspective to steward the land and have high quality habitat that's great for wildlife, but it's also a profitable thing to do.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely can see that. And it's look, like you said, these guys are looking for revenue streams any way they can, and it just sounds like it is one of those opportunities that you've created there that helps everybody involved, helps the public get access, helps the landowner, have a source of income or revenue to make improvements and improve wildlife habitat. And look, one of my favorite sayings years ago, I heard they were talking about wildlife in Africa just as an example, and they said, somebody said, well, how does hunting help wildlife populations? And this was up in a big room with a whole bunch of people in there, and the guy stood up and he said, "Here, let me just paint this picture for you. If everybody in the U.S. stopped eating French fries or baked potatoes, every farmer who farmed potatoes would stop farming potatoes, because
that's right,
they don't have any value associated with them. And it's the same thing with animals and land. If there's no value associated with it, or if it's a loss leader every single time, guess what? They're going to kick it to the curb."
Land is always seeking its most profitable use. And certainly you have to make high quality habitat and wildlife populations profitable. And that could be from a hunting perspective, you go to Africa and people are either going there to look at them through a scope over the barrel of a gun, or through, binoculars and cameras, whatever. That's both profit sources, whether, they're on a photo safari or a hunting safari. The countries that have really nailed that over there have, a lot of wildlife, and the countries who banned some of that hunting. Yeah. You just said there's no profit here. So it's going to go do something else.
Well, talk a little bit about how it, I don't know how big or how little it is, but talk a little bit about this shift. Like I said, in Texas, we live in a different world. 95% of the land is privately owned. So it's the model is a lot different. And some people hate us for it. And they don't like the fact that we have high fence operations. Of course, it's like the thing we talked about earlier, where people are like, well, it's public versus private land. Well, here, a lot of the U.S. sees high fence hunting as something that's not fair chase. But I always caution people, if you've never been on a ranch that's 10,000 acres that's high fenced in South Texas, you don't really know what you're talking about. You need to go try to experience it, because there's a level of fair chase there that people don't understand. And it can be rough terrain, but where I was going with this was, what is your take on opening up these private lands that may have not been previously accessible to hunting or fishing, and how that may or may not, if I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but how it may or may not take pressure off of public hunting or hunting on public lands.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So it's a great question. I mean, look, not only hunting, but let's just call it outdoor recreation has to happen where? On land. Mm-hmm. And so there's a finite amount of land and there's public and private land. And it's a bit of a zero-sum game. So if you're a diehard public land hunter, you should love private land hunting, because every day that, someone is out on hunting on private land, by definition, they're not hunting public land where you are. And so, regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, private land hunting is really good for the resource generally. And again, it can be a pressure release valve for public lands. I mean, again, here in Montana, we have seen, even in the handful of years I've been here, I don't know, since 16, however many years that is, the public land pressure has changed dramatically even since I've been here, and I'm a newcomer. And, and I think there's, media and all that kind of stuff has probably helped that. But yeah, the more people we get out on private lands, one, it's less pressure of actual people on public lands, but also it's going to move wildlife around too. I mean, as we know, wildlife reacts to pressure. Right. And if all that pressure is just going from public to private, where do you think the game is going to be? It's going to be on private hanging out.
Sure.
If you have a little bit of pressure on private, it's going to move game around to public too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that. I mean, they're definitely going to adapt and move, away from the pressure, away from the pressure. You guys do hunting, you do RV and camping properties, you do fishing, you do farm tours and ag tours and all types of variations around that. Based on supply and demand and what you're seeing, having been involved with LandTrust now for some time, are you seeing, I know we saw it during the pandemic, are you still seeing increased populations of people seeking outdoor adventures?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Certainly COVID was a boom. We were so small at the time. We didn't really get to reap much of that reward. We were months old when COVID kicked off. Mm-hmm. If that had happened now, I think it would be a very different story, but obviously COVID was a terrible thing and we're not hoping for another one of those by any means. Right. Yes, people seeking outdoor experiences, that market is growing enormously. And I think, this younger generation is putting a lot more value on experiences over things. You see that across the spectrum. People are just, they want to spend their money on going and having high quality experiences and maybe not owning as many things in their life. So I believe this market is a tremendously large market. And if we can play a part in facilitating it in a more easy kind of, safe and easy manner, that's a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. The more things that we can do to get people outdoors and off their phones and tablets and everything else, especially our younger generations. What is your kind of your hope and your dream for your kids? I mean, you've got 3 young girls. We've seen, obviously in this country, we've seen a huge shift. They've said for years that the female population is the largest or the fastest growing population in the outdoor world. For our organization, Houston Safari Club, we've gone from like 90% male to 10% female membership, and that in a couple of years now we're like at 86 male, 14% female.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, look, I mean, I want my dream is that all my daughters will love the outdoors, love to hunt and fish. My oldest she's going to be 5 in August, so she was out ice fishing with me this winter and catching some fish. She likes it. My other ones are a little small, they're just turned 3 and 1. So TBD, of course, I would love for them to share those passions that I have. I also have to make sure I don't totally force it on them. Right. But I would love to see them, have a passion for the outdoors.
Nobody wants to imagine an emergency on a hunting trip, but when the unexpected happens, you want the team of medical and security experts at Global Rescue to be there for you. Global Rescue Operations Centers are staffed by experienced personnel, and you'll always speak to an expert on the first call. With unparalleled capabilities to transport members to their home hospital of choice, you'll get back to your preferred hospital, not the closest. So, trade what-ifs for peace of mind with convenient travel services designed for the unexpected. Learn more at globalrescue.com/hunting Hunting Matters.
Hunting Matters is sponsored by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Under the visionary leadership of founder Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's is leading North America's largest conservation movement. Together with their partners in conservation, they're positively shaping the future of the outdoors through donations, grant making, and advocacy. The 501c3 Outdoor Fund raises funds to support conservation efforts by activating more than 200 million passionate sportsmen and women, rounding up their purchases in Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's stores and online. Visit BassPro.com or Cabela's.com today.
Are you interested in breeding exotic wildlife as a method of generating cash flow for your ranching operation? Wildlife Partners is an innovative wildlife conservation company that is the largest breeder, buyer, and seller of exotic wildlife in America. Let them show you how wildlife breeding and ranching can help secure the future of animal species while generating cash flow and substantial first-year tax deductions. Wildlife Partners serves more than 500 private landowners in Texas and numerous conservation-minded investors throughout the U.S. Non-landowners can also own wildlife. To learn more, go to wildlifepartners.com.
Being on a shooting team provides our youth with valuable life skills like confidence, responsibility, and leadership. However, most of the nation's youth shooting teams have little or no funding. The Midway USA Foundation is a 501c3 public charity working to sustain and grow the shooting sports industry by providing long-term funding to thousands of these teams, probably one in your community. Learn how the Midway USA Foundation is changing the future of youth shooting sports. Visit MidwayUSAFoundation.org.
Hey, I'm Trace Atkins, and if you grew up hunting like me, you know the importance of sound, or more importantly, silence. Every step, every breath, every move gets made with purpose. Silencers control the noise, and thanks to Silencer Central, buying one is now easier than ever. Plus, Silencer Central ships straight to your front door. Visit silencercentral.com/simple to see how you can get silence delivered.
You know, millions and millions of people listen to this podcast, right, Ramon?
At least two.
At least two. And just for those people that are listening, if you're a landowner, what does a landowner need to do to get in touch with you to get to be part of LandTrust?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We have a really good team here. We're all real people. There's no chat bots or AI answering questions. We talk to people all day, every day on the phone. We text with folks. So LandTrust.com is where you can find everything. There's a landowner section on that site. We have a contact phone number. You can just give us a call or shoot us a text, and we'll be happy to answer questions. And I think from the landowner side of things, we really try to take one of the biggest things, trust is in our name, because there's a lot of trust involved in this kind of transaction, right? Our landowners are inviting, essentially strangers onto their land. Mm-hmm. In a lot of cases, that's their legacy. So we understand that and have since the beginning. So we really do everything we can to ensure we create trust. So just for landowners out there, here's how we handle that. So when any guest were to come in, like, Ramon's looking at stuff, if he wants to, make an inquiry or book a property out here, he has to accept our terms of service, which holds all of our landowners harmless for any sort of liability. He's got to do ID verification. So he has to show either his driver's license or his passport. We use software that confirms that he is who he says he is. He pays for everything with a credit card. And then, of course, there are ratings after the trip. So the landowner gets to rate the guest, and the guest gets to rate the landowner.
Fail for Ramon.
So,
he's go ahead and count him as a one-time tripper, because after he's there one time, it's over.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we joke about it, but it's honestly the truth. There's not many. We have we know exactly. We know who you are. You have a government ID. Like, we tie that to your account. And if you go out and you get a 3-star rating from a landowner, you're probably never going to get accepted to another property on LandTrust. Mm-hmm. So we have like 98% 5-star rating over thousands of trips from our landowners to our guests. And then from an insurance's perspective, we carry obviously $1 million general liability. Even though the landowners are held harmless, we carry participant insurance, which covers medical bills for guests if they injure themselves, even though they are technically liable for themselves. We do property protection. So we handle, we try to come at it from every direction we can. We partner with Farm Bureau. So Farm Bureau in many states have their own kind of like agritourism insurance, which all this could kind of be categorized as agritourism. So we really try to come at it from every angle and facilitate this like very easy, safe, platform to use. And then I would say, versus traditional leases. If you talk about hunting, as a landowner, if you wanted to make money off your property, from a recreation perspective, hunting leases were kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And they obviously still are a thing. But, especially for our landowners who are predominantly farmers and ranchers who own and operate, they didn't love leases. Now, the one thing they did like is they got the check up front. So you get a nice chunk of change and that's yours. Everything else after that, they didn't love, because what these landowners really desire is control. And when you do a lease, you're essentially selling that property right away for a period of time, whether it's a year or multiple years. And we've heard time and again across the country from these landowners that we've been leasing, but we don't love it because we don't get to use the land for hunting, fishing, whatever. Our friends, our family, our neighbors, our business partners can't come and use it because we sold that property right away. And what we are now facilitating is allowing them to participate and generate some income from their resource, their asset, while still being able to use it if they'd like to, or to be able to, really have direct control over it. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. Right.
Yeah. I can see where that could be a catch-22. I mean, you like the supplemental income, but at the same time, you can't really ride around the property and get your work done when you've got hunters, there 3 or 4 days a week or whatever.
Yeah, and you can't let the neighbor kid, you can't let your partners, you can't use it yourself, so it was kind of all or nothing. And with LandTrust now, just like with an Airbnb, you can say, hey, I'm blocking my place off for my family coming to town. We see our landowners do that all the time. Hey, it's Thanksgiving week. We're going to block off this week or the first week of season for our friends and family. And then we're going to, book the rest of it.
Right. Yeah, that's the deal we had. I was on a lease for like 6 years, and that they basically shut it down during the holidays, during Christmas and New Year's for family, and we got it the rest of the time. And yeah, I get it. It's their property, You're paying for access.
Well, yeah, and look, I think there's always going to be a market for leases, especially for the guys who want to, work that property. They want to do food plots. They want to do kind of that kind of stuff. And there's always going to be a market for leases. But I think what we're doing with more of this it's basically short-term rental, is going to open up a lot more access to a lot more of the market. Because frankly, most of the market can't afford, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year lease. And they may only get to go use it a handful of days or a couple of weeks a year. So a lot of people are saying, hey, I can pay for the 5 days, I'm going to Montana to go hunt, but I can't really do a lease up there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And at the end, I don't mean to sound corny, but at the end of the day, it's all about access and getting more people outdoors. That's a thing. We actually talked to a gentleman, I think last week on the podcast, we were talking about, one of the frustrating things is, and Houston Safari Club Foundation does youth hunts, and we do youth outdoor education and shooting safety programs and that sort of thing. But the big question mark at the end of the day is, if you take a kid who's an inner city kid who would never have the opportunity to go hunt or fish out on their first experience, and they go out and they love it and they have it, then what happens?
Right.
Can they do it again? Can they afford to? Or maybe as an adult, can they afford, $5,000 to, whatever the number is for a lease? Will they ever be able to afford it? So in a way, you guys are opening up access and outdoor opportunities for people who may never be able to experience it.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing is, right now, if you wanted to go hunt private, and you live in a state, by the way, 80% of licensed hunters live in states with less than 20% public land. So, again, out here in the West, it's public is taken as granted, but it's just not the case for where most hunters actually live. It absolutely opens that up, and you make it feel like, it's a more modern experience. You can go and you can connect with landowners and make sure that you have all the information you need. And I mean, we have tons of properties that could be, anywhere from $100 to $200 a day to go hunt turkeys or whitetail, or, $50 to go fishing. It's not, thousands of dollars in these large commitments. So it really does make it more accessible. So many of our customers who use LandTrust are just blue collar people.
Yeah. Yeah. Is LandTrust a subscription-based program, or how does that work?
No. So I say as of today, we're going to roll out a premium subscription. Now, LandTrust will always be free to use from you don't have to pay us to use the platform, and landowners don't either. We simply make our money on transactions. So, like an Airbnb, like a VRBO, or some of these other marketplaces, the revenue that we make is off of the actual bookings. So we make a commission on a booking for landowners. So the landowner makes 80% of the booking, we make 20%. And then there's a booking fee that sportsmen pay as well. So, no, anyone can go and find the website and find properties that they like Ramon did, and just make a booking. He doesn't need to be, a member, quote unquote. Now we're going to roll out a premium membership that'll have a bunch of cool features and some things that, if you like LandTrust, you probably would want to get it. But that'll come out in the next month here.
I found 5 properties that I like. Don't count me short, Nick. There's 5. I'm going to be in Oklahoma, Montana, North Dakota. I got plans.
Oh, I love it. Well, and I will say this: do create your free LandTrust profile, and if you haven't yet, go through, create it. It's free, and this is for anybody listening. If it's even mildly interesting to you, create your free LandTrust profile. And when you do that, we're going to ask you some questions. Hey, what activities do you like to do? I like to hunt. I like to fish. I like to camp, etc. And then when you say, hey, I like to hunt, okay, great. What state do you live in? What states are you interested in? And what species are you interested in? And so once you do that, we're bringing on property, thousands of acres of properties every week all over the country. So, if Ramon's like, hey, look, I like pigs and I like Oklahoma. Yeah. When we bring on a new ranch in Oklahoma that has pigs, you will get an email.
Oh, cool.
Saying, hey, here's a new. So we're basically scouting for you 365 days a year around the country.
That's pretty cool.
And that's free.
That's exactly what I'm into. I'm into pigs. That's cool.
Yeah.
I've still never done it. I'm dying to go.
Come to Texas, man. We're walking the kids to school, and we shoot a couple of hogs just on our way to school.
Yeah.
I love it.
You just need to get down here. We can make that happen for you, no problem, because I know lots of guys who would welcome as many dead hogs in their place as possible.
Well, yeah, we my team was just down in Fort Worth at the TSCRA, Texas. Oh gosh, I'm gonna forget the full acronym. Something Cattle Raisers Association. And if for those landowners out there, again, maybe you like to hunt whitetails and that's your thing, and you don't want to, you don't want to have people out hunting whitetails. But a lot of landowners who have pigs or turkeys or upland birds or fishing ponds or whatever, you can just pick and choose what you want to offer. So as we move further into the south, I'm really excited to bring on a bunch of hog properties so that we can just. I mean, I look at those as ATM machines, honestly.
Yeah. It's crazy because I got a buddy who runs a place ranch south of San Antonio, and he did a show up in Pennsylvania last year for the first time. The big outdoor show that runs like a week.
Oh, that big one's like 2 weeks long.
Yeah. No, thank you. I don't want to stand in a booth for that long. People are like, well, so I can book a whitetail hunt with you. Yeah. They're like, you got pigs? He goes, oh yeah, we got plenty of pigs. He goes, well, how much do I have to pay for those? He goes, you come kill a couple big whitetail, you'll get the pigs for free. And they're like, what? Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah. Well, as hunters, as fishermen, that's the thing. We're always looking for new experiences. So, we live up here in Montana, and elk hunting will always be cool, but it is, it's kind of normal for us.
Yeah.
Whereas pigs are normal for you, and I'm dying to go, chase pigs around. I'm sure you guys would love to come up here and hunt elk. Yep. So we're always looking for something that we don't have by us, some new experience that we haven't done.
Nick, let me tell you something. Turkey season this year, I probably had 3 or 4 chances to shoot pigs in the face with a shotgun. We were calling turkeys, and they would come in the mornings, and you literally were looking over your shoulder, making sure a big sow or big boar didn't come up on top of you. I mean, that's how. Yeah, and you could hear them squealing and fighting and in the dark, and that, yeah. That's
a little hairy. That's a little hairy.
When you're on the ground and there's maybe a 300-pound sow yards from you, it can get a little.
Yeah, sure.
It can get a little iffy. You might want to be wearing.
I would have brought up the 300 blackout. With the shotgun.
Exactly. You might want to be wearing your hunting camouflage Depends if you're not used to it, because it's something else. Well, listen, man. Before we let you go, I got one final question for you. What's your favorite new experience that you guys have on LandTrust?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know there's a bunch.
We just got a new ranch down in Florida that has Osceolas, and so that's one of the most. Cool. Again, I'm a total newbie. I've killed one, but it is one of those things. Now we have a bunch. You were talking about gators. Like, there's all sorts of stuff that I want to do, but I would love to go to Florida and hunt an Osceola.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal, folks. Nic De Castro, the man behind LandTrust. Go to landtrust.com. Nick, thank you for your time, and let's hook up and kill some pigs and turkeys, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and that it sounds like a plan.
Hunting Matters is a Houston Safari Club Foundation production, hosted by HSCF Executive Director Joe Bitar and Ramon Robles. Produced by Ramon Robles. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For questions or more information, email us at info@wehuntwegive.org.